3, 2, 1, go!
Now go home and get your shine box.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Go Get Your Shine Box. This is Jim from Central Florida. And I'll let the boys introduce themselves as normal.
Back from the infirmary, Joe from New Germany. How's everybody doing?
Well, good evening there, Jim and Joe from the infirmary. This is Paul.
Now, howdy there, fellas. So, well, we were a little late last week, and then we had a little hiccup yesterday. But,
And we're late again. The word is we're having triplets.
Yeah.
You know,
It'll be a C-section.
Before we get started, I want to throw out a happy birthday to somebody very dear to us. His name's okay, Joe?
Yeah, sure.
Sandy, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
That's all you're getting.
All right.
That's it.
before we totally embarrass ourselves. So, anyway.
That's never
Yes.
been a problem before.
I don't need any help looking stupid. We
doesn't Sandy share her birthday?
well, I can't even believe you went there.
I don't know. I got nothing to do with this, man.
I'm not going there.
All right.
That's the only thing I can say is that today is 420.
Yes, and everybody. Well, half the world was talking about getting high, and the other half were celebrating birthdays. You know.
Yeah. So there's something to that, I guess. But anyway, so we planned an outline. We meaning me. Thanks for reading it, guys.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, what? Hey, what's going on here? Jack Teixeira, we call him. I don't know what his name is. It's a weird name, but I wonder if it's a small trivia question. Right now, this has happened a week or so ago. I wonder if anybody knows who Jack Teixeira is. Teixeira, whatever.
Isn't he the big leaker?
Yeah, he's the 21-year-old.
21-year.
Air guardsman.
I had this conversation with you a couple of days ago, and I was scratching in my head, and I'm thinking, I know a little bit about military security clearances.
Yeah,
and maybe you can enlighten us and give us kind of an idea of what these clearances are and how they work.
Yeah, I'm going to try to explain it, and I'm going to give my version, and then I'll also give, I'll probably give a little more like factual stuff, from an actual report or whatever. But there's basically three clearance levels, and apparently the diplomatic security service conducts the background checks and security investigations for Department of State and other federal agencies. So, but basically confidential, secret, and top secret. And I'm not going to, qualify or quantify each one of those. The top secret, there's also sensitive compartmented information. And this is where it gets a little tricky and slices and dices. We were told that this 21-year, and I have to say his age, and you have to say what he was, the 21-year-old air guardsman tech, IT tech, okay? And again, let me preface this by saying, if you're in the service, doesn't matter what service it is, and this was years ago, so it might have changed a little bit, but if you're in the service and you're in any particular MOS or a military occupational specialty, there's probably going to be a level of security that you have to get, okay? Everybody doesn't get top secret. Most stuff is secret. There's confidential stuff all over the place. So somebody that's an IT tech is going to get probably a top secret. Okay, so great, and I have
top secret sounds very important.
Yeah, it's very important. Yeah, it's top secret.
Yeah.
So everybody says, "Wow, it's top secret." So this guy can, he can look at anything. But here's the problem: you can't just look at anything. It's a blanket secret clearance, combined with the fact that a lot of information is over classified. So you're actually in some top secret documents, there's stuff that doesn't need to be. And here's the part that throws off the whole freaking story that we were told. This kid, in actuality, even if he stumbled on something, he didn't have access to stuff, because a top secret clearance is one thing. Now, in order to get some of the information, he was alleged to have taken pictures of and shared. You're talking about sensitive compartmented information, SCI information, okay? Just because you have a top secret clearance doesn't mean you have access to SCI. And even at that, doesn't mean you have access to need to know information either. So I literally sat in Fort Devens.
Yeah, and here's a couple of things that I'll share. We had talked about this earlier, but according to Larry Johnson, ex-CIA guy.
Yeah, I have a clip of him to play a little bit later too. Good.
Okay. There was included in this batch internal CIA documents. So we'll hear what he has to say on that clip. No way he's going to get that.
Yeah, that leads into a point that I'm making, that you can sit next to somebody that has a top secret security clearance, and yet he doesn't have access to some of the stuff that you be working on, and vice versa.
Well, and not only that. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and then on top of that, if you're not read into a particular project, even within that subgroup, there's need to know information in a hierarchical format that you wouldn't get to know. And in the case of CIA documentation, and I'm not going to get too deep into the specifics, because for a couple reasons. One, those are the type of things that need to remain somewhat secret. But in that particular instance, there's landlocked information. At least that's that's, I'm not sure how it is now, because there's a lot of electronics. Landlocked information that you couldn't access. You would literally have to go into a separate room, into a SCIF, into a need to know area, if you will, and then follow through. So the idea that this kid had this kind of unfettered access to every kind of document out there under the sun is ludicrous. And if you knew nothing about security clearances, all you had to do is, like they say, Google it, and you get a pretty clear understanding that it's all Barbra Streisand. It's all bullshit.
But people are gullible. People believe anything that's told to them. It's just it's pathetic, really.
Well, I know nothing, and here's a question that I've got. The guy is Air Guard, all right? So What is the schedule of a National Guardsman? He goes in for 1 weekend a month or something like that?
Yeah, I believe it's about that, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, generally speaking, yeah.
All right. During that 1 weekend a month, are they going to have any, I don't know, PT or drills or whatever? Where's this guy getting time to, photocopy, print out, stuff this stuff down his pants? What is he doing with it?
Well, exactly. Yeah. And you can't go into a SCIF, which is a secured room.
With your phone or a camera.
And I'm guessing there's no printer in there either.
Conveniently they don't. There's no way to copy the information. I wonder why that is. So this thing stinks like a freaking Maxwell Smart movie.
The only question we don't know is which of it is bullshit and which of it is real, and what the purpose is. You know what I mean?
Well, that is a problem.
You can be rest assured that it's some form of malice towards, normal people are going to wind up paying in blood or who knows what.
Well, yeah, and I don't know what the motive is, because I'm 110% convinced that he didn't. He may have leaked this stuff, but he didn't. It was given to him. There's no way he got it.
Yeah, if somebody gave him the information. Now, maybe if they gave it to him, and he's not going to. He won't have the opportunity to give up whoever gave it to him, or they made some kind of a deal with them.
Also, wait a minute. When did this guy get tagged? Is it going to be 2 weeks this Friday?
Yeah, I think it was. When did the story come out?
I think it was on a Friday or
14th.
A Saturday.
Yeah, Friday the 14th.
A week or two. Yeah.
So
anybody heard from this guy or his lawyer or anything, or did they just black bag him? And
apparently they charge him with unlawfully copying and transmitting classified defense records. Okay, that's very vague. Okay,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
if they're every story you read is piling on this guy, so that's actually it comes with some heavy time, but that's actually nothing. Each offense is about a 10-year sentence. He had a brief court appearance, and that was the end of it. And I haven't heard about it. And Joe was saying earlier before we got on, pre post, what are we talking about this for? Because it just went away, but it didn't go away because at that very moment I was reading the story. Do you recall the part where it exposed actual troops in Ukraine?
Yeah. But
that's
we knew.
a big one we heard about.
Yeah, but
Right.
those of
check
us who
this
aren't
out.
retarded knew that already.
Well, yeah, but here's a different point. Those troops, okay, forget about the ones in Poland. The troops that we were told were just hanging around the embassy, okay? Well, they just happen to be Green Berets, okay? And if anybody doesn't know what that is, well, sorry.
John Wayne, right? Was it John Wayne?
Yeah, John Wayne. Those are the guys. Those are the really highly trained special force guys, and traditionally, in situations like that, they'd be used for, like in Vietnam, they would be used for advisory purposes, and that sounds benign enough. Well, they're just advising, right? Well,
is the Green Beret like they used to be, or are they a bunch of candy asses?
I can only speak to my experience with the 10th Special Force Group, and they were nothing candy about them.
Okay, so, all right, yeah, but I'm talking about today. Where are they getting new recruits today?
Yeah.
That have any balls?
There is a standard. You have to be in for a certain amount of time. You have to have this under your belt. So I suspect that there's still probably the cream of the crop.
And I'll throw this in there. They tend to have a higher IQ than the average grunt, and sure. they are, shall we say, they are less diverse than your standard military outfit by a long shot.
They are because they're not there to wear high heels.
Yeah,
they're there to do a job, and in this particular case, they use those types of forces for advisory positions, and that's not what you think it is. Yeah. That's where they go in and train indigenous people, and they train them to fight. In some cases, guerrilla warfare tactics or conventional tactics, depends on the campaign at the time. So that was out there. So everybody said, "Wow, they're just okay. We'll give you that. They're special forces, they're Green Beret, but they're in the embassy." So the leaked Pentagon document suggesting the U.S. Special Forces operating in Ukraine and not the American embassy in Ukraine as the White House suggested. So as we come to find out, they are actually, and again, like to your point, if you didn't know this, Paul, whatever, they are actually working. You don't send that kind of elite force, even though this administration is inept. You don't send that kind of elite force anywhere in the world unless you're going to put them to work.
So we got boots on the ground.
Yes.
We got badass boots on the ground. Yeah, the kind that are going to take orders and they're going to train these people. And in my humble opinion, is in itself an act of war against Russia.
Oh, absolutely. As you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, World War III? Yeah, we're in it deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We just haven't got hit in the head yet.
Yeah, it's coming,
Yeah.
God help us.
We need to be talking to friends and family. This is, we joke a lot between us, and because that's what the Stoics do. You laugh, otherwise you'd cry. But there are ugly times coming, not just for the world, but for us over the next year or two.
So, you know what though, Paul, we're doomed. As I'm starting to think like you, because I talk to my nieces and my nephews, and they're all weak. We're doomed. Okay.
Yeah. Get your filthy paws off me.
Oh man.
Well, your nieces and nephews ought to be. I was listening to Scott Adams. I come home in the afternoon and listen to him visit Morma at the same time, Grandma, and he was saying, "Yeah, you got to get your kids and get them get them fighting, because they're going to have to know how to fight their way out of 2 or 3 or whatever, at the very least. Good point. I wish I was in better shape. I'd learn how to fight at this old age.
Yeah, you're gonna. You know what? As decrepit as you are, you're going to have to fight because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Well-
I'll tell you. I was talking to one of my nephews. I won't mention his name. I don't know if he'll probably know who he is if he's listening. But his big thing, like he was so concerned about, was Donald Trump paid hush money to a porn star.
Who
And-
didn't? Who hasn't?
and how bad that
Wait a minute.
how bad that was, and also, and Donald Trump is mean. He's a mean. He's mean.
He is mean.
I'm like, what? When that? So he's mean.
Yeah. Well,
Biden's a nice guy.
yeah, right.
Ask his daughter.
Right.
He doinked his daughter in the shower. That's pretty mean.
Well, he wanted to wash away DNA.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, man! Now I feel dirty.
Well, there's no proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are so far gone. This cannot be unfornicated. Let's put
And
it
we're
that
so
way.
far off topic too.
Yes.
But I was gonna tell you as another side note, if you want to do some target practice, just roll some basketballs down your neighbor's yard.
Yeah, the problem is we're still at the point where they'll lock up white people.
Yeah.
Well,
and we're at the point where people still don't believe it.
That's true. Yeah. And that's the bigger point is, and it's normalcy bias. All my life things have been, consecutive one day to the next. Things are, small changes. That's gone.
But nobody wants to. Do you want to wake up in the morning and say, "Holy crap! Well, I got to freaking
No.
I have to load my freaking magazines."
No. Yeah.
No. For those of you in Rio Lindo, magazines are the thing that goes in the rifle that holds the bullets.
The clips, boss.
That's the magazine is what all the libtards are calling clips.
The magazine clips.
The clips, the 53 round clip. Anyway, I told you back earlier before we got off on that I was going to give you like an official definition because I don't want anybody calling me out for that's old information. A security clearance allows an individual filling a specific position to have access to classified national security information up to and including the level of the clearance that they hold, as long as the individual has a need to know information and sign a non-disclosure agreement. And by the way, a non-disclosure agreement and paying hush money is the same freaking thing.
Yep. And when when you just said they're given information as a need to know,
right?
In this whatever he was, I don't know what his rank was.
Right.
He did not have a need to know anything.
Correct.
Any of that.
Correct.
So he had no access to anything, and he was able to access something.
He still was. The law.
Yeah, that's right. If he had access to something and he wasn't supposed to, his head will roll. But there's a lot of other people that heads are going to roll for allowing that because there are people above him that control this.
I'd like to get to the bottom as to why, but
you never will.
Of course we won't. But yeah, and I'm going to dovetail that need to know thing again. You're talking about the special force, the Green Berets in the Vietnam era, for example, hot war era like that. That they were considered need to know trained. So there was a little softening, and if anybody's out there listening, and no offense, but it's true, there was a little softening in training because need to know trained special forces are, I don't want to say highly, but they are more adapt to the situation. They are slightly higher trained because of the urgency. So that need to know does play a part in all things military.
Right.
But if anybody's interested, how many top secret clearances are out there? The 1.3 million individuals with top secret clearances are supporting a wide variety of missions from the CIA to the Department of Commerce. But just because you have a top secret clearance doesn't mean you have access to any information out there that's classified top secret. That's just the way it is.
And how many military we got? Something like 700 grand or something.
I can't give out that piece of information.
I can't remember the number, but
That's a need to know only.
I'm
but
not
those,
sure.
obviously the clearances go with all of the,
Other agencies,
all
I
the
get that,
agencies. So, that's not to mention all of the stateside or a civilian.
That's right. Yeah,
holders.
Contractors.
Yeah,
all that sort of thing.
yeah, because those are worth. Well, again, I'm a little aged on the timing and the price, but those are worth probably an extra 20, sometimes 30 grand, depending, on top of a normal salary.
Really?
Yeah. And then
ain't right.
It's discrimination. So,
And don't forget
anyway,
the military classifies everything. I mean, the menu, the White House menu is classified. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's up there.
And it's extremely neat to know.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure young airman King, whatever his name is, didn't have access to that unless it was pushed out to his device, which, by the way, in my day, it would have been a Minox. And today, it's a cell phone, and you ain't taking either one of them into a skiff. So,
in my day, it was smoke signals.
The whole thing stinks. Yeah.
So let's listen to Larry. This was on
Larry or Mo?
No, this is Larry Johnson from the CIA, and this was what's his name, Judge Napolitano's. I don't have any of him in here. I think there's a little piece of it. So let's check the volume on this and check this out.
Is this even remotely credible?
No, it's a lie. It's a fabrication. The Washington Post, this first surfaced with a cat, Bellingcat. Bellingcat is a front for the British intelligence. That's where the story first surfaced. Washington Post then picks it up, and the Guardian then picks it up on the same day. So this is a coordinated media strategy. This is a disinformation campaign. The documents are real. I'm not saying that the documents are fabrications. They are not. But this cover story that's been manufactured to explain how these documents came to be produced, it just falls apart. It most simply falls apart based upon one document in that mix, which is listed as CIA Operations Center report, top secret. I worked in the CIA Operations Center. I helped prepare those reports. That's an internal CIA document. No one on a U.S. military base anywhere in the world will have access to that kind of document, for starters.
Who or what is spreading the misinformation? Is this CIA feeding garbage to their friends in the American and British media?
I put it above the CIA. This is elements connected to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, because that's the one place where you bring together CIA, FBI, NSA, DIA, all the key elements. They are the one place in the U.S. government where you can assemble all this material.
Okay, so let me just say one thing, and just because this is our show, we formulated this opinion and came up with this outline and discussion points before the release of this clip from Larry Johnson.
I'm laughing because I was just, as I'm listening to this, I was thinking, didn't we just say that?
Well, in reality, we were discussing it a week before,
right.
Starting from the day. So, I mean, it's, and not for nothing, everybody is going to be hip to it eventually. But just to let people know, we actually have some knowledge. So.
Well, to be honest with you, I know about security clearances because of you. Because of your background, and so you've already explained all that to me because it's something that interests me. So we talked about it. You've never revealed any classified information to me, which is what you're supposed to not do, right?
Right.
I fully understand how all the security clearances work. That's why when I wanted you to explain it, sometimes you have to dumb it down because it gets a little. It's not hard to understand, but it gets a little bit confusing because of the terminology. Because when somebody hears top secret, they're thinking, then you've got everything. But top secret is one of the lowest forms of security clearances.
It is the highest of the three, but the subsets that go beyond that is that's
Right.
what throws people off. That's what people don't hear about the rest of it, So,
Well,
but
you guys might, have all this hoity-toity knowledge, from your book learning and all that. But I've got a brain tumor that allows me
it's not a tumor.
that allows me to see the future.
It's very slow growing too.
and it also has blessed or cursed, depending on the who you ask, me with a certain level of I'm a psychic, so
All right.
that's about it. I can see the future. I am your soothsayer.
Well, you better not stop there. I'm
That's
on the
it?
edge of my seat.
That's all you got?
Well, no, that's how I knew this. You guys,
Yeah.
knew it from other sources.
Right.
I just knew that because I've been blessed by God.
Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
Because that never gets old.
No.
No, definitely. That's where, every once in a while, if not more often than not, you have to blow your own horn because that's just the way, like, what's that one comedian? Nah, never mind. But yeah, you got to blow your own horn because we really do this stuff. Like Emma Lagasse used to say, hey, I made a mistake, but we're really cooking here. We're cooking with real fire, not like those other shows.
Yeah. All kidding aside, we're all three of us wicked smart. All right. And basically it's comes down to pattern recognition. And, we're pretty damn good when it comes to recognize the bullshit and figuring out what's reality and what's not.
Isn't that interesting? The first time you heard about this kid, what was the first thing that ran through your mind before you heard anything?
Well, Jim knows I threw the bullshit meter up on Signal there instantly.
Yeah, it was pegged.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, because there's this guy. Help me with his name. It's a probalactic Jack
Posobiec. Yeah.
I think it was
he's a Polak.
And it's kind of like Ukrainian.
Keep an eye on him,
That's like a kind of Ukrainian, isn't it?
I don't.
Oh, it's all the same people out there. Come on.
I don't know.
Anyway,
It's probably some kind of Slavic type.
Yeah,
people.
I think the guy's, he's all right. I mean, I don't know him. He's never going to have a conversation with me because that's another topic. But when pundits, when they're nobody, like when the Drudge Report started, that nobody, and I was corresponding with him freaking 30 years ago, whatever. And then when he became big and I didn't, he didn't want anything to do with me, after I was contributing to his page when it first came out. Okay. What I found out was, and it's funny, I found it out while I was listening to a brief clip of the people, those kids, those guys that took over the Rush show. Well, we don't, we're not messing with any low hanging fruit. We wouldn't have anybody on our show that's not, there has to be notoriety. And I think they were saying it in a good sense. My point is this guy Jack throws out this statement saying, "Oh, I don't know why so many people on the right are fooled into thinking that a 21-year-old with top secret access couldn't get all this information out." So I tried to do a little research on this guy, and then I got bored, quite honestly. But I don't know what his background is. But I thought he had some sort of military background. I don't know if anybody can back that up. But my point is, why are there so many on the right convinced that he had access when he clearly couldn't have had? Now, let me back it up a little bit. He clearly couldn't have had access without help.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Unless he had, unless secretly he was involved in some other military operations that we don't know about.
Yeah, I thought about that too, Joe. But again,
but
and
at 21 years old,
it's just an estimate. It's just a guess. But the guy wasn't bright enough to be recruited.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, do we even know if these papers were at his home?
Well, from all reports, he was literally retyping.
Yes, I get that.
But whether or not he,
do we even know if that was him?
Well, no, how do you know that for sure? They tracked it back, and what I heard from, and you can't trust any of these reports. What I heard from some of the reports was that the way they gathered the information to even find this guy was illegal. So who the heck knows?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you don't, and you don't have to be, you don't ever have to have a clearance to know that you don't just walk into a place that's a confined center, a locked skiff, or an office that has top secret security clearance material laying around, and you don't grab the paper and walk out the door with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless you're Sandy Burglar. But you know what I'm saying?
And also, you're not at your home computer logging in.
Yeah.
Either.
And you're not carrying your cell phone around. These are all huge red flags. Regardless if you're just an IT tech in that range. So yeah, there's so many unanswered questions, which leads me to another question. Were the docs even as bad as they say they were? Now we're hearing dribbles, but you can't. How many, Paul? How long did you spend looking? Because I looked.
Well, apparently the documents were up on the internet for a couple of weeks.
That's what people say. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then
a list.
The magic internet people disappeared them?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, have you met the internet? That doesn't happen.
Exactly. So now nobody has copies of anything? Yeah, it's kind of weird.
The best that I've seen was from freaking Newsweek.
Yeah, I had a little bit of an article from them. Let me see if I can.
By the way, we didn't mention, Larry mentioned Bellingcat. I mean, Jesus, Bellingcat, even I know that is a freaking intel front, like nuts, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's where the money gets distributed from. Let's see. I don't know. Top secret, blah, blah, blah. The same old stuff. This goes into, what did he say? Newsweek obtained more than 4 dozen of the leaked intelligence documents. By the way, if these are actual leaked top secret documents, Newsweek doesn't have any right to hold on to them and read them. That's a federal breach of law.
Right.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
They can't,
Yeah, the documents. The document labels.
If somebody posts top secret documents and then you copy them and redistribute them, you're just as guilty. You're not allowed to do that.
Well, I'll tell you, I was in AIT at Fort Devens, and one of the trainee, one of the soldiers decided he was just going to joke around, and he was bringing in his notes or whatever, and he had them in a what are those? Not a folder, the big envelope, Manila, the big envelopes.
Yeah.
And he wrote, because these are kids, let's face it. He wrote top secret across the envelope,
his
and
envelope
comes in and sits down, and the freaking instructor is like, he grabbed him and pulled him aside. Like, what is this? And then he was like, "Well, I was just joking." There's no joking in a freaking triple lockdown base. You don't write top secret. And he freaking ripped him up. Just joking. The kid was probably 18, probably just crapped himself.
Right.
He
learned real quick. Okay, got it. Check that off the box,
Jeez, oh man, yeah. So the FBI says the documents are based on sensitive U.S. intelligence gathered through classified sources and methods. I don't even know what that means. The alleged leaker, 21-year-old, the guard, 2 counts under the Espionage Act. In other words, the documents were already in the public domain, but there's no real list of anything. And I don't want to see the documents, but I want to see a list of what the implications of the documents were. That's what I wanted to see.
Hey, not to change subjects, but I was thinking, was Fort Devens, was that the base that I got on and they thought I was something that I wasn't? Was that, remember that?
Say we can't discuss that.
That was really funny. All right, never mind.
Yeah, that's not good to discuss. Even though they're now, I think, a museum. Devens is kind of defunct. It was a pretty cool base. But anyway, so yeah, there we go. I mean, and then another question I would have is, why isn't the administration talking about this?
Well, wait, when you say the administration, you're not talking about Biden, because he doesn't know anything, but he's just looking for little kids to smell. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's just
no.
You don't know what's going on.
What we need to figure out is the misinformation. Is this a distraction? Is Is this meant to mold public opinion in a certain direction? Is this meant for allies or
all of the above, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
No,
Well, yeah.
absolutely.
I don't. I actually am baffled by this.
Yeah, that's that's what worries me.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you know what it is that we. All right, I have to. I don't know. I put it on a different level. People like us that we're not influenced. We see through the bullshit.
We're the 30%ers. Yeah.
Right, and we're just waiting to figure out where this is going to all fit in.
I'm a 3%er, if you don't mind.
Right. The rest of the people around there are just like, they just lap it up, and it just it's the propaganda wagon just keeps
Well, we
laying
can't
it
fix
down.
that, and that's going to get worse with AI. That's another thing. It ain't going to be long before you don't know what's real and what ain't. Voice, video, pictures.
That's scary.
I
Biden came out when this happened, and he said, it's not that big of a deal. If I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty darn close to what he said. So if it's not that big of a deal, then what is it?
Yeah.
Then why is the kid going to go to jail for 20 years if it's not that big of a deal?
Or is he? Because like you said, it's just been dropped. So what do they do? Just put him in a different class or something, or put or discharge him?
He's going to disappear. This guy's going to disappear.
Yeah, and let's think of a couple of things.
Wait, you got also? I'm sorry to cut you off, Paul, but just is this his real person? Is there? Have you ever seen a picture of this kid?
Well, there's plenty of.
Does he really? Does he really exist?
Yeah, unless that was fake. We've got video from his arrest.
Right.
He was sitting on the back porch reading a Bible or something, and
I think New York Times arrested him, and then the FBI showed up.
Did you see the ADSB from the helicopters flying over?
Yeah, unreal.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I love how they bring such force for people that are just have.
That's where you interrupted me. I was going to say we don't know where the pipe bomber from January 5th is.
Right.
Funny they haven't been able to find him. Who else haven't they been able to find? We don't know about this manifesto that the Troons are killing Christians. What else? The guy who blew up his van in Tennessee last year. Right. Whatever happened to that story?
Hey, you know who couldn't find through geo-tracking? Any of the 2,000 mules couldn't find them either.
Yeah, remarkable.
Yeah. If I hate to say this, but if you're a Democrat, and I know how the Democrats are, I know what they used to be, whatever. But if you're sitting there and you have to freaking have that suspension of disbelief for this stuff to go by. It's a freaking movie. This is right out of a freaking Jack Reacher movie.
Yeah.
And it plays like a movie. That's the problem. It's so predictable. We all know what's going to happen.
I just don't. What I don't understand is that for all these Democrats out there, there's nothing for them to gain.
Well,
I don't even understand.
More power.
The world.
There's only more power for certain politicians, but for the masses, for the
rank
people,
and file get nothing.
What are you talking about? They've already scrubbed the Republicans out of the military. They've scrubbed the Republicans out of academia, or conservatives, whatever you want to call it, the anti-Democrats, the opposite of the good people, in other words.
Yeah, but they're not done. And when they finally get to their...
No, they're not done.
When they finally collapse the country, then what do you have? Nobody has anything.
You have a utopia. That's what you have.
What they're hoping is that they have us in camps or dead. You have to understand that.
Yeah.
For what?
For winning.
Why?
For evil, because these are sick people. They are taken over by the darkness. Okay.
Yeah, and these are nihilists who believe the only gathering of power is the power and that they can get on this planet, on this
for
earth.
its own sake. Yeah.
That's it. That's what they believe in. They believe in clever pennies. They believe in King Tut burials. Nancy Pelosi believes that she's going to be buried in a golden Cadillac and a pyramid's going to be put over her. And I got some sad news for you, Nance.
Not happening.
Did you know there were
6 foot under and you're worm food just like everybody else, and then you're going to have to freaking face the judgment.
They never found any bodies in the pyramids. There are not tombs.
I thought Geraldo. Oh no, that was Al Capone.
Oh, I've been having some fun with Geraldo, talking about his wife.
Oh, he is an ass, Geraldo.
This is going to have to go in the after session.
And don't forget, everybody out there, go to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. Go to 10mmm.org, our website. Sign up. You can get some behind-the-scenes stuff if you subscribe. Small contributions, monthly contributions, but we'll take it. No problem. We're out there on all your favorite podcast channels. So we appreciate you listening, and we will be back next week.
Take care, everybody.
All right. Good night.